I'm here with my dad on the North Shore of Lake Superior. Where are we, Ivan?
We're really on the very northwest corner of Lake Superior that you can get to. Can almost see the border crossing from here.
And we're going to introduce you to a beautiful property. They're off the grid heading towards the Minnesota border, just 40 minutes from Thunder Bay. Absolutely amazing what they've done here. My parents acted as their own general contractors, and we're going to kind of go through that journey. Like I said, completely off the grid, self-sustained out here. Winters are a little long though, right?
And dark.
Tell us about the process of kind of where you started, how you hatched this plan, how you went after finding the right lot for you, and sort of the starting process of moving from my childhood home on Dalhousie Drive in Thunder Bay to moving out here.
Retirement triggers a lot of things, and we were sitting around the dining room table thinking a year prior to retiring, what's the next step for us? And we had the option of thinking about inland lakes, but we were born and raised on inland lakes. So we just thought the big lake, Lake Superior, was the right thing to do. We just got in the car and drove south out of Thunder Bay and drove in every road that went out to Lake Superior. And we found a number of properties and probably took a month or so of examining those properties before we landed on this one.
And part of this process and how much work you guys actually put in, this lot was not cleared when you got here. Tell us about the timeline that it took to clear the lot, and really from there what your stages were to start the build, because I know that you didn't start with building the house. It was clearing the land and building something that you were going to stay in while you're out here working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we weren't in a rush. I think that's one of the important things. If you're going to undertake doing something yourself, you can't think of about it being done within 4 months, 6 months, or even a year in some cases. So the lot when we bought it was absolutely a raw piece of land, about 1.2 acres. And it took us 2 winters of cutting and burning before we could even look at the lot layout of where we wanted to place buildings.
And what was your, because you wanted to come out here for like more than just a 1 day trip, what was your process to get something built that got you able to stay overnight here?
So, like I said, we cleared the lot ourselves, but we had an excavator come in twice in order to level the land enough so that we could start to build buildings. So the first thing we built, and I'm sure we're going to take a little look at it, was a deck down near the water so that we could have a place to actually put a barbecue and cook when we were day tripping out here. Second, with most of these properties, is you need an outhouse. So
We're
got out
gonna
the
take a look at that too.
got the shovel out and made ourselves an outhouse. And the third thing we built was a garage. Interestingly enough, the building inspector out here suggested after we had the garage built that we could actually build a bunkie inside the garage as long as it didn't have running water or plumbing of any kind and still be a legal building. So that's what we did. We built a garage. It's a 2-stall garage. And I have still one stall available to me as a garage, and the other half is basically a bunkie, and we just slept in it last night.
Yeah, my brother's family's here, and they've got 3 kids, and I'm here also celebrating my grandma's 90th birthday. So we've got a full house here, and it's great to have the additional space. And then lead us into the actual home build.
So once we had the bunkie built, Mark uh, suggested that we're off grid. I don't like that term. We make our own electricity, but off grid is a little misleading because we have all the conveniences of home. But we wanted to prove to ourselves that solar electric was a viable option for us. So we actually installed a solar system that we're still using as part of the overall house and garage operation to prove to ourselves that solar was a viable option before we made the big leap into building a house. And that was going to help determine what size house we were going to build and what amenities we were going to have in the house.
Okay, and then well, obviously, I'll take some shots of the home here because it's absolutely gorgeous. But leading through to actually building the house, what sort of stuff did you feel comfortable doing on your own, and what sort of stuff you absolutely had to have contracted out?
Well, we had to have the excavating for the footings and the crawl space to be put in. We had to have an excavator do that. Some of the rocks here are bigger than a normal vehicle, so that was quite an undertaking to dig the crawl space for the house. And then we had a contractor who worked with Family and Teen Challenge, our teen and adult challenge, and so we worked with them. So we had a master carpenter leading, and we had 4 or 5 others that were helping as labor. And within 3 weeks, we went from a hole in the ground to having a sealed building. It was a really, really worthwhile endeavor to work with the group and support people who were trying to recover. Um, so that was a huge accomplishment within a 3-week period. And then following that, we had a rough-in plumbing done, contracted out, and our heating and ventilating system was done by a contractor also. And then my wife and I undertook it from there to finish the outside and to finish the inside. My wife is a great interior designer. She has a great eye for color for the exterior, and I was willing to put in the labor and fortunate enough to have a background in trades to be able to do that.
Yeah, so my dad was actually a teacher in the high school system, doing guiding and tourism, and you taught shop as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So my dad's got lots of great skills. Anyways, that's awesome. Tell us about the uniqueness of this property, like what your heating source is. We'll start with heating source.
Heating. So those of you that will have had a little bit of experience around solar electricity, it's not an abundance of electricity as you would normally be living with unlimited electricity. And heating with electricity takes a lot of power. So all of our heating sources for domestic use are from propane. And our primary heating source to keep the house warm and the garage warm during the winter period is a wood stove in each. So that's primarily where we're at.
Yeah, and you've kind of progressed with your battery banks and your solar panels. Tell us about where you originally started and where you are now with the power.
Yeah, when we installed in the garage, we had 6 panels and a smaller bank of batteries than we do now. Once we got into the house, got through the first winter, we realized we could use some additional power. So we doubled up on the number of solar panels that we had, and we doubled the capacity of the battery bank so that we had more luxury available to us.
I guess the other component, because you're not on city services or municipal services, is your septic. I know the system you put in, it's a Waterloo system, correct?
Correct.
So that comes with chambers. And tell us about how that system, it's a costly one, but it's really beneficial. Tell us about how that system works.
I think one of the big advantages of the Waterloo system is that it doesn't take a huge piece of land to put a traditional septic tank in. Or not septic tank, a septic field. But it has a traditional septic tank with a pumping system that pumps into the top of a shed that's probably 6 feet by 4 feet by 7 feet high. And inside that shed are 2-inch by 2-inch by 2-inch foam chips that filter the effluent as it comes out of the septic tank and then flows directly under that building into a sand pit. So your footprint is not a huge septic field, as would be the tradition, but it's this little postage stamp of 6 feet by 4 feet by 7 feet high that takes virtually no space, and it just looks like another outbuilding on your property.
Specific challenges being out here. Obviously, we already mentioned that the winters are long and hard. What do you love about being out here, and what would you caution people on sort of heading this way with the build?
If you enjoy peace and quiet, and if you enjoy the natural environment, this is the place to be. Um, we have probably a maximum of 10 vehicles that go by our driveway each day. And so peace and quiet is really the rule of the day. Um, if you enjoy watching wildlife, we have birds to no end here, from hummingbirds to migratory geese or geese that have their families here each spring. Trumpeter swans, just a huge list of birds. And then wildlife, we've got all the chipmunks and the squirrels, whether you like them or not. But we have a bit of a sanctuary on the other side of the main road that we drive into that's owned by the field naturalists. And we have some hiking trails through there, which means that it's it's in our it's a prime piece of property, and it's in its original state and never has been and never will be altered by man. So there's lots of wildlife that floats around, from lynx that were photographed last winter through to fox of cross fox, red fox, really unique coloring on some of them, moose, deer, wolves, coyotes. The list goes on and on.
What are the challenges that you face?
The challenges really are around the cold season of the year, and a little bit of isolation. But we have all the conveniences of home, from satellite TV to Wi-Fi that's a wireless connection to a Bell system, and our cell phones are connected like you would be in a city. So we're kind of bridging between really being in wilderness and still having all the comforts of living in a significant sized community.
Throughout the winters, it can be long and isolated out here, and you can go a little stir crazy. I know, obviously, you guys had I know this obviously, but you guys had an apartment in the city and gave that up. I suspect you're looking to that you're going to shift to more travel in the wintertime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just going to bug out from snow and cold completely, whether it's going to be the West Coast or the warmth of Kingston, or further south, or more time on a cruise ship.
So you're a raised bungalow. What's your square footage? How many rooms do you have in here? And I'll obviously take some shots of the beautiful country vibe that my mom set up in the home.
1,500 square feet with 3 bedrooms and a huge great room, dining room, kitchen, all of an open concept, with one 3-piece bathroom and one 5-piece bathroom, with a walk-in laundry and closet in the master suite. Kind of in a few words, that wraps it up.
Yep. There's also a couple other cool things that you've done out here for convenience sake and just to enjoy it more out here. You've got a sauna and you've got a hot tub. Tell us about those builds.
The hot tub build was really easy because we ordered it out of Burnaby, BC. It's a wood-fired hot tub, so it doesn't use any electricity. Back to the theme of being conservative around electricity with the solar. And the sauna build was a COVID build, as in something to do, but really to benefit at the tail end of it. So it's a sauna that's 12 feet by 8 feet, with a full change room on the front side of it, and a full sauna on the back end.
Perfect. Dad, thanks for introducing the property to everyone, and hopefully someone picked out some information from this and understand you don't like calling it, but I'm going to call it that, off-grid living.